Welcome to another scriptural study, a scriptural calendar and scriptural astronomical study. And once again, we are preparing to prove the next new moon day. In this case, the 8th new month, which will be a total lunar eclipse. Yes, the 8th new moon will commence at the dawn on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. So why? Well, let's go over the actual data. And before we do that, please ensure you stop the video at any time to focus on the scriptural and astronomical evidence and or witnesses from the sun, moon, and stars that are being shared in this latest clip. And of course, and as always, please ensure that your mobile screen, your computer screen, or your iPad screen is configured to full view mode. So once again, we utilize all three witnesses of light to tell time, more specifically, the appointed times of YaHUaH, which are signs. And yes, each and every new moon day or new month, the first day of any given scriptural month, has a sign. And we can number our days, each and every one of our days and years, with these three witnesses that work in perfect harmony to tell time and are fully aligned with the scriptures, all of the scriptural writings. And of course, the moon and stars to rule by night, for YaHUaH, our Father of lights, the only self-existent one, his kindness is everlasting. So we're going to focus on scriptural stars once again. And they are all aligned to Moshe's writings. So here we are. I'm narrating this video on the last great day, the 22nd day of the 7th month, which happens to be on the pagan day of Monday, October 31st. So here we are, celebrating with joy and exhilaration the last great day, the end of the festival, if you will, of the festival of ingathering, Sukkot, or booths, as some people say, where the Word, the living waters, the Messiah, YaHUaH himself, on that last great day of the festival, stood out and cried out, saying, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me, and let him who believes in me drink." Yes, the Messiah, YaHUaH, is aligned to the sun, moon, and stars, which is aligned to the creational agricultural cycle, which is aligned to the spiritual harvest cycle. So again, we can forecast all of this well in advance, and let's share how and why once again. Because the prophets themselves forecasted utilizing Moshe's writings. So the 22nd day is very special of the 7th month because the Daniel count of 1,290 days from the first month of Abib brings us to the 22nd day of the 7th month. So it's a cycle, which helps us understand the Shemitah cycles over and above the Jubilee cycles, if you will. And all of this can be photographed. And it matches Hanok's counts and so forth. But if you're into 365 only, 364 only, 360 only, and 354 day calendars only, none of this will match. None of this will be in alignment. You will not be able to use the sun, moon, and stars in full, and you will not be able to align the scriptural stars as created and as intended with Moshe's writings, as we can see here. So let's get into this study, because we're going to use the prophetic writings once again, because we trust in YaHUaH with all our heart, and we do not lean on our own understanding, meaning my opinion and or other men and women's opinions are irrelevant. We use the understanding, the data, the information that the Father of Lights provides. So what is that data? Because when you prepare to prove any new scriptural month, up to and including this latest 8th new moon day that is upon us, that is going to be a total lunar eclipse, people can forecast this. How do we know this? Well, even the journalist from the Epoch Times wrote in the last couple of days, first ever election day total lunar eclipse to rise in the U.S. on November 8th. This journalist knows that the moon is going to become full. In fact, a lunar eclipse in the wee hours of the pagan day of November 7th, and then full-blown lunar eclipse on the 8th, just after midnight. And this journalist even knows it won't happen again until 2394. So can you forecast with the sun, moon, and stars? You betcha. And what is forecasting? Well, it's to calculate or predict some future event or condition, usually as a result of study and analysis of available pertinent data. Yes, YaHUaH provides pertinent data. Dawn, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, percent illumination of the moon every day in those various times. And it also provides where that moon rises in regards to degrees to true north and its height throughout the 4 night watches. So we'll get into that in this study, because not only can you calculate the future, you can calculate the present. And if you're into understanding your true birthday with the sun, moon, and stars, it has nothing to do with the Gregorian calendar. I was born on the pagan day Thursday in the pagan year of 1960 in the pagan month of October. But my birthday is not Thursday every year. But if I utilize the sun, moon, and stars, that particular sign for the 5th day of the 7th month is the same annually. So that's what I'm going to trust. I'm off the Gregorian. I'm done with it. So I can calculate the past, present, and future, no different than this journalist. So again, I'm not sharing anything prophetic here. I'm just sharing that you can actually forecast any sunrise, any sunset. And if one of the tools that we do that or use today to do that is incorrect, they will be called out within seconds. So as an example, in Anaheim, California, let's go over that. The total eclipse will last for 5 hours, 53 minutes, and 54 seconds. The duration of totality is 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 57 seconds. So in Anaheim, this moon will become full just before midnight on the 7th of November, that pagan day, and then just after midnight on the 8th of the pagan month of November will become totally full, and we will experience a total lunar eclipse. Take a look at the forecast here as well. Afternoon we'll have clouds and it'll be mild. So that's the forecast from a weather standpoint. This day was cloudy 38% of the time since 2000. So 22 years of information. We know that sunset will happen, the first watch will start on the pagan day of Monday, November 7th at 4:53 p.m. And through the 4 night watches to the 4th watch, dawn first light, will occur on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th at 4:51 a.m. Sunrise will ensue, the end of the 4th watch, on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th at 6:17 a.m. And we can measure all of this with our hands. We don't need apps. The ancients knew the sun, moon, and stars far better than we do today, even though we have all this technology. So that's an actual fact. And they didn't have reruns of Lucy to watch on TV. Their TV was the sun, moon, and stars. They slept on their rooftops. So this is very foreign to us in this day and age, but to the ancients, it was common knowledge. So let's get into it, because Memphis, Tennessee, same scenario. So we're going to use this location as well, and we're going to use Jerusalem. They're not going to see the eclipse. Again, total eclipses are not seen everywhere. So let's take a look at the forecast. And we forecast every day. When it says in Psalms 90, verse 12, teach us to number our days, that's plural. Every day. And we use the dawn, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, when the moon is at the 180 degree mark, and the percent illumination, not just for my location, but for many locations. And this sample has 7 of them, all from timeanddate.com. So all we've done here on this worksheet is copy and paste. That's it. And anyone can get outside and test and prove these items. So again, it's not rocket science. It's something very, very easy to do. And today, is obviously the 31st. And here we are on the last great day. And what is the world doing? Celebrating Halloween. How embarrassing. So for me, the dawn was 6:16 a.m. today, and sunrise was at 7:54 a.m. This evening, the sunset will be at 6:09 p.m. So all of these will be verified. Again, if Time and Date or the U.S. Naval Observatory or Stellarium, mooncalc.org gets any of this wrong, there will be hell to pay. Not from scriptural people, but from basic astronomers. So this number, or these numbers of information, are not my opinion. They come from YaHUaH, our Father of Lights. Because we can measure time, speed, and distance, we know these times in our reckoning of time with seconds, minutes, and hours. It's that basic. Remember, we number our days from new moon to new moon and from Sabbath to Sabbath. So when you look at this worksheet, here's a new moon, here's the Sabbath day on the 8th day, the next Sabbath on the 15th, the next Sabbath on the 22nd, the next Sabbath on the 29th, and then the next new moon day. From new moon to new moon and from Sabbath to Sabbath. This is the method. It's not a jig. It's actual information, data. Why is that so important? Well, basically from a scriptural standpoint, the heavens are proclaiming the esteem of the Almighty One, and the expanse is declaring the work of his hand. Day to day pours forth speech. Yes, dawn, sunrise, sunset. And night to night reveals knowledge. Yeah, from moonrise to moonset, including when the moon hits the 180-degree mark every evening, including the percent illumination. This is the knowledge. And again, from the Berean Standard Scriptures, or translation, from Proverbs, or Mishlei, meaning truth, chapter 18, verse 2, it states, "A fool does not delight in understanding, but only in airing his opinions." How many calendars are opinionated that do not use the knowledge of dawn, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, 180-degree mark, the moon is the light on a lampstand, and the percent illumination daily of that moon? This is not my opinion. This is an example of an individual, and many Bereans, who delight in the knowledge, the information of what the sun, moon, and stars do to tell time, more specifically the appointed times of YaHUaH. But there are many jigs out there, and you can get many opinions, regrettably. But we'll share what those opinions create, and it's nothing more than chaos and confusing viewpoints. So in YaHUaH, chapter 35, verse 8, it states, "And there shall be a highway and a way, and it shall be called the way of set apartness, from this world. The unclean does not pass over it, but it is for those who walk the way, and no fools wander on it." So again, we are not calling any human being on this earth a fool or being derogatory. We're just sharing that the majority of 8 billion people on earth, the many, are not delighting in the information of dawn, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, the 180-degree mark, the light on a lampstand, let alone the percent illumination daily. And that's a fact. Anybody can prove that. And nobody uses this information to number their days. All of it. It's piecemealed, if you will. So Mishlei, or Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2, is giving us some foresight and hindsight of Jacob, or James chapter 1, verses 16 through 17, which states, "Do not go astray, my beloved brothers. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above." Yes, indeed, these gifts are perfect. They're from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning, and thus why we can measure it in the past, in the present, and into the future. They're perfect. So let's understand this a little bit further, because the 365 only does not rely on this information. The 364 only do not rely on this information. The 360 only proposals, and the many of them, do not rely on this information. And the 354 only do not rely on this information to number their days, plural. Not just new moon days, but every day. That's a fact. I can't change that. That's not my opinion. And why are these gifts perfect? Why is there no change? Why is there no shadow of turning? Well, when you measure time, in regards to timekeeping, the definition is the action or process of recording how long something takes. Yes, how long does it take for the sun to move, the moon to move, the individual stars to move in alignment with the sun and that moon? Well, we know how to measure these things. From a simple example here on Earth, a car traveling 40 miles in 30 minutes will travel 80 miles per hour. That speed equals distance over time. Or, another way to look at it, distance equals the rate of speed multiplied by time. This is motion. If the rate is 60 miles per hour and the time is 3 hours, what is the distance? 180 miles. So we can track the sun, moon, and stars because the Father of lights provides lights that we can measure. Remember, our Almighty Father of lights is an Almighty One of order. YaHUaH is an Almighty One of order. So let's do the math. It exists. And we can measure it without apps. So the ancients have been measuring the movement of the stars, the sun, and the moon for eons, thousands of years. And it's nothing new, especially the 180-degree mark when the moon, on a new moon day, is at its fullest point of light. We'll get into that in this study. And the sun is at its 0-degree mark. If you live in places like Australia, that is inverted. Sun would be at 0 degree, the moon, obviously, and sun would be opposite or inverted. And we'll get into that during this study. So again, we look at the dawn, sunrise, and sunset. We don't discount any of these witnesses. Moonrise and moonset. And do you realize that if you went into a coma for whatever the reason, and heaven forbid that happened, but if you did, let's say for 3 to 6 months, when you woke up, if you knew the degrees to true north where the moon rose and where the moon set, you could actually determine just with this witness alone what month you were in. Because the pattern for each and every scriptural month is different. And most are not aware of that. So this witness is huge as well. And the 180-degree mark witness is huge because it's aligned, the light on a lampstand, Matthew chapter 5, verse 15, to the percent illumination of restoration of that moon on a daily basis, all the way up to each and every new moon day. So we're going to get into these 6 locations spread out all over Earth for this latest forecast. So with this latest forecast, let's look at 5 locations from the forecast. And you'll notice that on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th, in my location, the moon will greet the sun at sunrise. In Anaheim, it will greet the sun at sunrise. Memphis, Tennessee, it will greet the sun at sunrise. But it will not greet the sunrise, the moon, in Jerusalem on the pagan day of November 8th, and it will not do so in Cape Town, South Africa. So here we are again with one of those months. So in the 6th month, we said it would be suit upon us, this anomaly. Now, this anomaly is not from our Father of Lights. It's from humankind that believes the false paradigm that the only witness that determines new moon day is the moon greeting the sun at sunrise. And it's a fallacy. It's not true astronomically. Now, that does not mean to discount the witness of the moon greeting the sun at sunrise. It only happens 2 to 3 times a year, this scenario, this celestial scenario. So what's the solution? Well, if you take a look at the moon as being a light on a lampstand, like our only teacher had stated, you will notice that in all 5 locations at the dawn, the moon is at its highest point of illumination on any given day, thus helping to announce the restored full moon as being new moon. And notice it is seen 17 degrees above the horizon in my area, 13 degrees in Jerusalem, 18 degrees in Anaheim, 17 in Memphis, Tennessee, and 15 degrees in Cape Town, South Africa. So there are solutions to this man-made, and some people should say woman-made, dilemma. which we've been talking about for years. And furthermore, if you take a look at the sunset time, the moon does not always greet the sun at sunset. Take a look at the patterns here. Stop the video. So again, sunrise and sunset believers are taking on the tradition of Babylon. So we've talked about that in many videos, and the astronomical term for it is actually shared as well. So again, this is not my opinion. This is just what happens astronomically. But people with false paradigms will hold on to this for a little longer. There'll be another event, and we'll get over this. But as you can see, we know what unites us and not divides us. Again, we believe the witnesses of light should unite, not divide. Regrettably, some people like to divide based on ego, human frailty, which is not going away anytime soon. So on this YouTube channel, we delight in the understanding of the witnesses of light that the Father of Lights provides, not a human paradigm. Think about it too. If you're waiting for sunrise as an example, sunrise is only a 2 to 3 minute window. And if you have any buildings in your way, tree lines, you live in a valley, you're toast. YaHUaH doesn't operate that way. His witnesses of light are lights on a lampstand for all in the house to observe. But again, the vicious cycle loves its paradigms. It loves its conspiracies. The vicious cycle does not delight in utilizing all of the witnesses of light: dawn, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, the 180-degree mark, as it relates to the daily percent restoration of the moon itself. So it will struggle. It will create more confusion. There is no doubt about that. So again, we believe the witnesses of light unite, and we have proof of it once again in this 8th month. Check out our videos on the 6th month and the confusion that was caused by both men and women. And we'll get into that. So again, pride is concerned with who is right with their paradigms, while humility looks at the whole weight of evidence to be concerned with what is right. It's that basic, not rocket science. So again, here's another great thing about the dawn witness and the moon still being a light on a lampstand. Notice if you wait for sunrise, it's 1 degree above the horizon. Now, in my area, it's going to greet the sun at sunrise on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th. It'll be fully lit up. And as you know, during the night period, the 4 watches, it will be a total lunar eclipse in my area. So again, it will do the same in Anaheim, California, and Memphis, Tennessee. And here is the beauty of waiting on YaHUaH, those who get up at the dawn and cry out for help. You will see the stars that this total lunar eclipse will be ruling with in this 8th month. If you wait to sunrise, the light of the sun by the time it rises at sunrise will blot out those stars. Just a tip. So again, the moon and stars to rule by night, for his kindness is everlasting. So we're going to get into those stars that this moon, 8th moon, is going to rule with, like it does every year. And we're going to start from sunset, the start of the first watch. And we're going to go to the 180-degree mark. We're going to go through that on Stellarium. And we're going to show it all the way to dawn, first light, up to and including sunrise for 3 locations, including and starting off with Anaheim, California. So here we go. So, as we know, with the forecast, Anaheim will indeed have a total lunar eclipse. And as you can see, it'll be for 5 hours, 53 minutes, and 54 seconds. That's how great YaHUaH is. He gives us information, and we can measure it to that detail. And we know that sunset starts on the pagan day of Monday, November 7th at 4:53 p.m. And the dawn first light, so that includes all those 4 night watches, right to the start of the 4th watch, which commences at the dawn on Tuesday, November 8th, 4:51 a.m., and then all the way to sunrise. So we'll go through Stellarium on what this total lunar eclipse and the stars it will rule with. And by the way, the 8th month has a set of stars that this moon will rule with. But in this case, we have a total lunar eclipse. And here we are. We're going to talk about these 3 locations, starting off with Anaheim, as we're saying here. So as you can see, we want to know from sunset till the dawn, till the sun rises over against her. Yes, YaHUaH, chapter 78. On the first day she is called the new moon, and for on that day the light rises upon her. She becomes full moon exactly on that day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through. And this only happens on a full moon celestial event. Doesn't happen with a conjunction. It's beyond the horizon and or below, and the same with a crescent, till the sun rises over against her. If you've ever watched a dawn event, first light, you would understand why YaHUaH stated, till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. You will see this with the stars that it's ruling with. So remember, the moon and stars to rule by night, for his kindness is everlasting. The whole night through. Doesn't happen with a conjunction or a crescent. That's an astronomical fact. It's not my opinion. I can't change it. I have nothing to do with it. So we're going to focus on, once again, 3 star clusters. Aries with the middle star Hamal, and we're going to look at Pleiades or Kima, known as the Seven Sisters, and Orion. We're going to look at those ones as it relates to this light on a lampstand and this total lunar eclipse. So we're getting into Anaheim. So Anaheim, the moon will go completely full starting on the pagan day, the 29th day of the 7th month, which is the pagan day of Monday, November 7th at 10:01 p.m. Its midpoint will go past the midnight time period. And on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th, it'll be at 3:02 a.m. Total lunar eclipse at this time, and by 8:27 a.m. it will finish being 100% illuminated for a total of 10 hours and 26 minutes of full illumination time. And by the dawn, 4:52 a.m. in Anaheim, it'll be 100% fully lit up, announcing at 18 degrees above the horizon, it is new moon day. And as I shared, it will be 2 degrees approximately above the horizon still at sunrise. So, do we have a tool that we can test and prove that here and now in advance? So, this program is Stellarium. It's version 0.21.2. I think there's a later version than this, which I will upload soon enough. And we're just starting after moonrise. Sunset has just occurred, and we're at the 5 o'clock time period. And here we go. The moon is ruling with the Pleiades. The month before it ruled with Hamal. And the middle star in Pleiades is known as the Almighty One, Al-Sion, or C1. And it's known as the Seven Sisters. And the whole night through, it will rule, whole night through. So here we are towards the 180-degree mark. The moon is still ruling. It's a total lunar eclipse at this moment in time. And there's, again, the Seven Sisters. And it's ruling the whole night through. And it's 100% fully illuminated going into the dawn. There's the moon. It keeps going. And here we are right at the dawn. And take a look. It's still ruling with the Seven Sisters. The month before, it ruled with Hamal. And as you can see, Hamal is now below the horizon. So the month before, it ruled with Hamal. Now, some people say Regulus, and we'll get into that in a minute and clarify that. So this is why we know it's New Moon Day. And as you know, it will greet the sun at sunrise at approximately 2 degrees above the horizon. So this is pretty basic, and here's the moon. If we go into it, there is 2 degrees right there at the dawn. First light, and it's 100% illuminated. And the Seven Sisters is still ruling with the moon. We're all can see it, and you can measure this. This is why I put in the altitude here, and it's approximately just under the 30-degree mark, which we said 17 degrees by the dawn. And by sunrise, again, it did indeed greet the sun. So that's how we know how to test and prove this here and now. Here's Ursa Major in its position, and if we go backwards a little bit towards this time period, around the, let's say, the 180 mark, notice that Ursa Major is no longer in its fall position, fully upside down. It's heading now towards its winter division starting in the 10th month. And we'll get into that in subsequent videos, of course. So this is very easy to do. Anybody can do it. And make a long story short, here is the sun right here. And you'll notice that it's very close to its 0 degree mark. And you'll understand why it's producing a lunar eclipse as a result. So let's continue on. So looking at Anaheim a little closer, right here in this column, we knew that the 5th month was a 29-day month well in advance for these very same reasons. And thus why we knew that the first day of the 6th month was on the pagan day of September 10th, because the moon was 99.8 and at its highest point of illumination at the 180 degree mark. Night to night reveals knowledge, day to day pours forth speech. That's how basic this is. And why we knew that the 7th month was on the pagan day of October 10th, right here at 99.7, the first day of the 7th month of trumpets. Yes, the 6th month was a 30-day month. Not my opinion. It's based on information. Now, if you want to have a debate on this, provide the information, not opinions. So again, we utilize all of the witnesses of light: dawn, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, 180 degree mark, and the percent illumination, plus the moon ruling with the stars that it would every year for each and every new moon day. And in this case, 6th month, let alone the 7th month. So carry this over. Here's the 7th month again on the pagan day of October 10th, and thus why we're going to be on the pagan day of November 8th here for Anaheim. It's not rocket science. So some people had stated that the moon on the 7th new moon here in California, there's a particular Facebook page with an administrator or moderator that it stated that it ruled with Regulus. Well, let's clear that up right now. So here we are back to Anaheim, California, and as you can see, just after moonrise at 6:45 in military time, 1845 on the pagan day of October 9th. And here's Hamal. Look where Regulus is. Can you find it? Yes, well, below the horizon. Now, when you read YaHUaH chapter 78, the moon rules the whole night through. So on this YouTube channel, we pick the stars that the moon rules with the whole night through. So look at Regulus. It's not ruling at the first watch. Now, if we keep going towards the 2nd and 3rd watch, notice where Regulus actually ends up being. It's still below the horizon, while Hamal, first day, 7th month, the night before new moon day, it's still ruling with the moon. And as we get to the 180 degree mark, where's Regulus still? Still below the horizon. So half the evening, the 1st and 2nd, and going into the 3rd watch, Regulus is nowhere to be seen. But Hamal is. So if we keep going past midnight, all the way through towards the start of the 4th watch, dawn, Regulus starts to show up. But look at good old Hamal. Now, why is this so significant? And we'll go to the dawn here. So as you can see, just towards the dawn and sunrise, Hamal is still ruling with the moon the whole night through, where Regulus is just showing up at the dawn. And if you go towards sunrise, you're going to miss it. Now, Regulus is a great star to look at because it's got a great magnitude. You can actually pick it out. But it's not the 7th month sign. Hamal is, as you can see, for the reason of YaHUaH chapter 78. So for some of you folks, asking me to call out this one individual, I'm not going to do that. I love this guy. This guy's off the Gregorian. He has great intentions of not being a guardian of the Gregorian. Is he learning this system still? Yes, he is. Hallelujah. So let's put that to bed. So the first day of the 7th month, this is important because the first day of a first month, Hamal is ruling with the sun, and the moon's ruling with Spica. And as you can see here, the first day of the 7th month, it switches. It's a celestial clock, as it should switch. So enough on that. Let's put that to bed once and for all. Okay, now on to Memphis, Tennessee. So here we are with the same format in regards to the 7th month being the pagan day of October 10th right here. And we knew that the 6th month was a 30-day month for the same reasons. And here's Memphis, Tennessee at 99.8. And the moon did greet the sun at sunrise on the pagan day of October 10th. And moving into this, Memphis is going to have a total lunar eclipse as well between the pagan time period late in the evening of November 7th and after midnight going into the pagan day of November 8th. And we know that sunset on November 7th will be 5 p.m. Dawn or first light starting the 4th watch on Tuesday, the pagan day of November 8th at 5:01 a.m. And take a look at the difference of those times. That's huge in regards to understanding why there's a lunar eclipse, but hopefully we can get into that in subsequent scriptural study videos. And sunrise, which the moon will greet the sun at sunrise at 6:28 a.m. on the pagan day of Tuesday, November 8th. So again, look at YaHUaH chapter 78, verses 12 through 13. We're going to use the same process. And as you can see in Memphis, Tennessee, the moon goes full on the pagan day of Tuesday, just after midnight, 1 minute after midnight at 12:01 a.m. The midpoint's 5:02 a.m. And at 10:27 a.m., it stops being 100% illuminated. Again, 10 hours and 26 minutes of fully restored illuminated light. That light on a lampstand, the same as Anaheim, California, and everyone else. 10 hours and 26 minutes of fully illuminated light. If we go farther, as we can see, fully lit up at the dawn, 17 degrees above the horizon, and just 1.10 degrees above the horizon by sunrise. So here we are now in Memphis, and it's just after moonrise, and there we are with the Seven Sisters. And we're in the first watch, going all the way towards the second watch, and then through that midpoint, and look at the Seven Sisters rule all the way through, as they should for an 8th month. And towards the dawn, there we are, before sunrise, still ruling. Now take a look at Hamal. Hamal will be below the horizon. It doesn't rule the whole night through with the moon all the way to sunrise, as you can see. So again, this is very basic to do. Anyone can do this in advance and then go outside and verify this. And I don't need the stellarium art. There's Ursa Major, there's the North Star. And as you can see, there is Orion right here, the 3-star cluster. And how do we know all this without the constellation art? If you can't find these stars on stellarium without the constellation art, how are you going to find them in creation under the dome in the Shamayim? So again, you don't need the constellation art. In fact, it will slow you down. So again, this is why we know that the moon will rule with Pleiades. Now, there are some other star clusters that it will rule with, and we will triangulate that with the proper magnitude, which basically means which stars can you actually visibly see with the eye and pick up on a camera or film photograph footage. So again, very basic. Pleiades is the one to be focusing on, with the middle star of that 7-star cluster being the Almighty One. So that's Memphis, really basic. And some of you are asking, why did this one particular individual in Tennessee decide that the 6th month was on the pagan day of September 11th? Well, they just didn't utilize the information that day-to-day pours forth speech with the dawn, sunrise, and sunset, let alone day-to-day pours forth speech with the night-to-night information revealing further knowledge with moonrise, moonset, the 180-degree mark, let alone numbering our days with the light on a lampstand and its percent illumination. If you use a jig, you will make a mistake. But as you can see, the new moon day, even in Memphis, Tennessee, in the 6th month, greeted the sun at sunrise. They ignored that, and they ignored the restoration information as well. But hallelujah, they got the first day of the 7th month correct with the October 10th information. And carrying that over, here we are, and we know that the 7th month is a 29-day month, and we'll see what they do with the 8th month. It will definitely be on the pagan day here as well, November 8th. So again, folks are reaching out to me to possibly chastise other people. I don't do that. I don't have an opinion on any man and or woman. I do not value my opinion. I value the understanding. I delight in the information and the knowledge, which anyone can do. This places us each as individuals to get on an assembly call to go over the information, not our opinions. I have no desire in regards to self-esteem of myself and or others. I am not interested, as it states with the Messiah YaHUaH, our only teacher. How can you believe when you're worrying about each other's esteem, but not the Father of Light's esteem? This is his esteem, and this is what we focus on. And it's really easy at that point because it's got nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the Father of Lights. You don't have to air an opinion. You just use the data. So here, let's go to Jerusalem now. And now that we've put that to bed, and take a look. Jerusalem will not have a lunar eclipse. So you can know this in advance by location as well. So if we look at Jerusalem, using the same Hanok 78 approach the whole night through, you'll notice that the moon goes full at these time periods, and as you can see, same scenario in Jerusalem. The moon by the dawn will be at its highest point of restoration, illumination, both at the dawn and sunrise. But sunrise, it won't greet the sun at sunrise, but it will at the dawn at the highest illumination, just like it does for Anaheim, Memphis, my location, let alone Cape Town, South Africa. So, hallelujah, so many are coming to the conclusion that this is not rocket science. Just use the information that YaHUaH provides, our Father of Lights, the only self-existent one. So as we can see, we definitely knew, even in Jerusalem with our Berean study buddies there, that the 5th month was a 29-day month, knowing that the date, or pagan date, of September 10th was indeed the new moon day for the first day of the 6th month, and that the 6th month was a 30-day month, bringing us to October 10th, for the first day of the 7th month of trumpets. As we can see here, the information is clear, 100% illumination. And carrying that over, here we are with the first day of the 7th month. We know that the 7th month is a 29-day month everywhere, and that the first day of the 8th month will be on the pagan day, Tuesday, November 8th here as well, even though the moon doesn't greet the sun at sunrise. So again, not rocket science, right? We covered the 6-month dilemma for some that caused this confusion in these 4 scriptural study videos. And we had stated in those 4 scriptural study videos that this would happen again here in the 8th month. And we did review that this happens 2 to 3 times a year. So again, easy to forecast. There's no surprises with YaHUaH. Some people that say wait on YaHUaH for sunrise, it's a 2 to 3 minute event. You're going to put your trust on a man and or a woman for a moon greeting the sun at sunrise, when in fact any building lines, tree lines, and if you've seen the videos of the first day 7 months, some people said it was new moon day and they couldn't see the sun through the trees, but they said trust us. Again, this is not about the self-esteem of each and or any one of us. This is about the esteem of the Almighty YaHUaH. So take a look at these 4 new moon day videos for the 6th month, where we went over all of this coming into this 8th month. So very basic. We'll continue, YaHUaH willing, that we can do the remainder 9, 10, and 11, and 12 months, because we didn't provide the full forecast this year. We wanted people to do it on their own. And more importantly, then get outside with film and photograph footage, or just your human eyes to test and prove it. So very basic. So if you're waiting on sunrise and sunset methodology, this is the land of confusion, Babel, and it will happen again, we have no doubt. And thus why the prophet Zechariah had stated, "Thus said YaHUaH of hosts, see, I'm saving, delivering my people from the land of sunrise and from the land of sunset. Yes, Babel, the land of confusion." And thus why we watch and shamar and observe all of the witnesses from YaHUaH, our Father of lights, because his witnesses are wonders, and why our being observes them throughout the day and the 4 night watches, as the templates have shown. Remember, design demands a designer. Why not utilize all of the witnesses to tell time, more specifically the appointed times of YaHUaH? So, looking forward to all your film and photograph footage coming through the night of the pagan day of Monday, November 7th, and by the dawn, commencing November 8th, when the new moon day will be announced. Looking for film and photograph footage from you all. Once again, we are fully prepared to allow Scripture to interpret Scripture, let alone the sun, moon, and stars do their thing. So thank you, everyone, for the folks that do this work with us. It's just tremendous. And may the Father of lights continue to keep and guard you all. Yes, YaHUaH, the only self-existent one, the only Father of lights. And may his Son, the first brought forth, the firstborn of all creation, our only teacher, be in everything we say and do, because he did indeed teach us all that the light is indeed a light on a lampstand for all in the house to see. Hallelujah. Yada YaHUaH. So thank you, folks. All the best in the name which is above all names.